DW Africa Link.
Africa is home to some of the world's most electrifying football talent, but behind the highlight reels are stories of resilience, street games, local academies, and a deep-rooted love for the game. How does the continent keep producing stars who shine on the global stage? Let's dig into the systems, the culture, and the grind that shapes Africa's football future. That's what's coming up. Stay tuned. My name is Josephine Mahachi. Welcome to Africa Link, the podcast that connects you to the stories that matter from Africa.
Africa Link, every weekday here on DW.
Football is a global sport, and Africans love their football. But in recent years, there have been concerns about the decline in the game. Some experts say talent identification and nurturing is the challenge. So, CAF, the governing body of football on the continent, wants to fix it. It has launched a project aimed at addressing the situation. A competition has been held in Accra to nurture footballing talents in schools. So how effective is this, and how would that address the issue and open up opportunities to young footballing talents? Joining me for this sporty conversation is Henry Asante, Director of Communications for Ghana Football Association and DW's Isaac Kaledzi in Accra, Ghana. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us here on DW Africa Link podcast, where today we want to talk about how Africa can nurture its football talents. I mean, we know football is a global sport and Africans also love their football amongst other sports. But we just want to also hear about what CAF, the governing body of football on the continent, is trying to do, especially in Ghana. We heard that they want to fix this particular aspect, and it has launched a program aimed at addressing the situation. What situation exactly is it? I want to start with you, Isaac Kaledzi, our reporter on ground.
Well, football is loved by everybody. Well, I would say a lot of people across the world. And in Africa, they love their football. Ghana also, Ghanaians love their football. I'm sure that if you've heard of Ghana in 2010 is the World Cup, so it tells you about the talent you have in the country. But for some time now, Ghana in particular, for example, its youth football teams have not performed so well as you would love them to do compared to the past. And obviously it means that talent is an issue. It's either the talents are not being properly nurtured, or we are not discovering them properly, and we are not harnessing their talents and making sure that they have the best environment to flourish compared to, let's say, colleagues or let's say counterparts in Europe or South America or another part of the world. So, I mean, this is the problem, and it's not just a Ghanaian issue, it's a problem across Africa. And I think that's what CAF is trying to deal with. But the problem, obviously, is that we can get some of these talents from schools. And so how can we make the schools quite a useful venue for this to happen? Not just for boys, but also for girls. Yeah. Basically, it's a problem. And like I said, it's not just a Ghanaian issue, but it's a continental issue. Yeah.
Absolutely not. So, Henry, I don't know if you want to add something also to what Isaac Kaledzi has just said, but do we really have a problem of talent nurturing in Africa when it comes to football? I mean, looking at especially most of the prominent footballers, rather, should I say, the biggest footballers are actually coming from the continent.
Well, it depends on where you sit and the situation at hand. I think some of the countries are doing excellently well. Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, South Africa are doing exceedingly well. Ghana, on the other hand, years ago were doing very, very well. Then we had a challenge at some point, and we are beginning to come back. We have instituted a number of youth programs, not only for football, but also in refereeing. In refereeing, for instance, we have come up with, a policy called the Catch Them Young refereeing policy, which was launched in 2020. As we speak, children between the ages of 13 and 17 are currently benefiting from this policy. We have 153 students ranging from basic school to senior high school, all benefiting from this particular project. And then let me also mention that one of the products of this particular Catch Them Young refereeing policy officiated the boys' final in the recent African Schools Championship.
Oh.
And then two of the girls were also involved in the third place playoff in the African Schools Championship. So we are making a headway, and it looks very, very positive. The CAF president has lauded the GFA for coming up with this initiative, because we lost about 50 of our elite referees in 2018 following the number 12 expose. And so we needed to come up with a policy to replace them or to replenish that particular facet of the industry. In terms of football, through the support of Corporate Ghana, we have also now ensured that football is played in every district and every region across the country. For the past 3 years, we have held regional juvenile championships. It is played at a district level. The best players are selected to represent their regions, and then they all converge at one venue to compete at the national level. And some of these players have moved on, to join European clubs. Abdul Aziz Issa currently plays for Barcelona. He is with the U20 in Egypt as we speak. We also have one, David Odro, who was also scouted through this tournament, and he's also playing for Barcelona. Abdul Suleimana is now with Randers FC in Denmark. And so, yes, the youth policies are beginning to yield the needed dividends. And soon, I'm sure we will get back to our level and also fight for laurels and also get back to where we belong. But generally, the African countries are doing their bit, but some have funding challenges, some have infrastructure challenges, but I can see a lot of effort, being channeled into that area.
Right. Yeah, speaking of Africa, Henry, I mean, obviously this is happening in Ghana, and many people are listening to us here would want this to happen in their countries as well. So please tell us more about this project on nurturing football talents from schools in Africa that CAF held the 3rd edition in your country. How crucial is this?
It is extremely important. Very, very, very important. Without the kids, there is no future. I think Africa has produced loads of top quality talent over the years, from George Weah to Samuel Eto'o to Abedi Pele to Asamoah Gyan. The list is endless, but without a holistic effort, proper structure to get the youth, involved and also invest in the youth, there is no future. And so when President Motsepe took over as the leader of CAF, he instituted this particular policy or project. I remember in his first press conference in Cairo after he was sworn into office, he mentioned that he will sponsor the African Schools Football Championship through his own foundation. So for the past 3 years, the Motsepe Foundation has been the sponsor, the sole sponsor of the African Schools Football Championship. $10 million is invested in this project every year, which I think is laudable. Then they started engaging member associations, including my association in Ghana. We were compelled to start playing football at the schools level. So we also instituted our policy or project to get these young boys and girls, get them to play at the schools level. Then we trained scouts.
Okay.
We trained scouts in all the regions. Then we also set up technical directorates in all the regions. So as we speak, we've got our technical directorates scattered across the country. Now, each technical directorate in each region have 4 scouts. So these 4 scouts, all they do is to wake up in the morning and go from one place to the other to scout young budding talents, of school-going ages. And then they put them. We have set up 3 academies in the country at the moment. The first one is located at Wikongo, near Bogatanga in the Upper East region.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, and we are doing this together with the Ghana Education Service. So all the talents that we scout in the Upper East, Upper West, Northern regions are enrolled at the Bogatanga Senior High School.
Right.
We are doing same in the Ashanti region with Prempeh College. So talent in Ashanti, Bronga Hafo, and Western region also enroll at Prempeh College.
Is there a reason though for these particular schools, Henry? Is there a specific reason, or it's just random picking?
Well, through our conversations and engagement with the Ghana Education Service, we had certain schools in mind, but at the moment, these are the schools who have, willingly accepted the project. So we are dealing with these schools for now. I'm sure as we go along, the project will expand and we will rope in other schools. In the Greater Accra region, we have a partnership with Legon Pesek, and then also talents who are scouted in the Volta region, Central region, Eastern region, and Greater Accra are enrolled there. So they go for morning training, and then they go to the classroom. After school, they come back to the field to train. And this is a special project that, we embarked upon 2 years ago and is doing quite well. So the African Schools Football Championship was held in Ghana. We had And the African Schools Football Championship, one interesting thing about it is that it is the only competition that gives the same platform to both boys and girls, at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike other competitions where the girls' editions are.
So they don't separate gender. Oh, nice.
No, the boys play together with the girls. So the girls have their competition alongside the boys.
Okay.
So this one, for instance, we had Ghana winning the girls tournament, and then Tanzania winning the boys competition. It's so beautiful, It goes through the same format. They go through the same rules. They go through the same refereeing, and everything is the same. Equal platform, And that is one of the beautiful things about this championship. At the end of the day, these talents. So, for instance, Ghana, we have to select a special project. The girls, because the girls won, the Motsepe Foundation is going to donate an amount of $300,000 towards establishing a special football project in Ghana. For girls, yes.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
So we have to come up with a project. They will make the funds available. They will send people to come in, inspect. Then the project will get underway. In the course of the project, they will be monitoring to ensure that the funds are put to good use. And that's another beautiful thing about the African Sports Championship.
Right. Before we continue, Henry, especially to find out how other African countries can also benefit from this in case they don't know, let me just ask our reporter here, Isaac Kaledzi. I'm sure you've been speaking to people on the ground, what they make of this project by CAF at nurturing these talents in schools. What are people saying? How is the feedback?
I mean, this is a fantastic project because even before the current CAF president's initiative, I mean, that really has been the idea. And that in schools, I mean, all of us went to school where you had school competitions, playing football, apart from football, other sports and activities. And that is where you get a talent from. And so obviously not having it performed in the past well, obviously was because of funding and maybe attention not being given to this part of this whole footballing talent hunting process. And so this is really something commendable because now it's giving that continental outlook. And of course, it means that more schools can get involved, more countries can get involved. And again, the funding, like Henry spoke about, is key because once you know there's an edge that if you win the competition this year, you have some kind of funding coming to you to continue some projects that can sustain this. Obviously, it's a good thing. So on the ground, people love it. It's an important competition. And I think that even beyond CAF, I think that every individual football association or country will have to continue with this. I mean, one thing about African countries is that once you are giving some kind of support and it's off, then everything dies away. I think that's important for many people I speak to it, that they sustain this them on their own. If there's a funding coming around, fine, help. But it's important for countries to have this initiative as part of their whole sporting development project in the country to nurture the talents that will be relevant in the future.
Why does it appear that this strategy, which used to be there in the past, has dipped? And I'm just also wondering what CAF has to do to ensure that this particular strategy doesn't die out.
Yeah, so I think one was that we took our feet off the ball. Also, perhaps we didn't also have leaders in the sporting industry or even nationally when it comes to developing talent to continue to pay attention to this. I think we did it one-off and it was gone. We didn't pay much attention to it. I think that was the problem, lack of funding as well. So we lost out in that space. And that's how come I think this initiative by CAF president is important. But my fear is that to sustain this, it has to be a policy that every football association takes up. It should be one thing that it's there that you cannot do without in collaboration with the school institutions, or let's say managers of our schools, like in Ghana Education Service. If it is part of it, and it is a program, a yearly program, obviously government will find funding for it. I will know that it's important because, mind you, sports is an important aspect. We want to fix the issue of social vices among young people. We want to channel their talents or energy to some places that are relevant, or even create jobs. Because, you know, football is not just for the players themselves. We have referees, we have managers, we have scouts, and all that. If competitions are there year in, year out, people also sell, and so it's a big economy, right? So I think it has to be seen as in that context, as a business, it's as a solution to social issues, even health, because when people are healthy and all that, you have a very healthy economy and society. So I think that will help to sustain this. It shouldn't be seen as, just like we see aid being given to Africa, and once the aid is off, we are very lazy, we don't know how to sustain it. We need to change that mindset. Yeah.
Right. In the past, people talked about schools, as breeding grounds when it comes to sporting talents. And we're not talking just about football, all talents, yeah? No need to wait for Patrice Motsepe or CAF to intervene. So why has there been a dip in that trend?
Well, I think it's funding from conversations, from experience, from engagement and interactions. It's clear that funding was one of the problems. Okay. Another thing is that consistency and stability of leadership is also a key thing. I talk about funding, and a country like Morocco will come up. They have enough funding to develop talent, to nurture talents. They've got national academies scattered across the country. Funding is extremely important. And then also consistency in leadership is another area. Consistency in leadership, because depending on who is at the helm, let's say President Motsepe is no more the president of CAF. Who is taking over? Is the person interested in this project? Where will the funding come from? Will there be the same commitment towards this project as there have been in time past? These are the critical areas. And for me, if we are able to sort these minor issues out, it would be highly beneficial, to all the countries, in Africa, especially, to see talent nurturing and talent development as a key thing going forward. Sometimes the leadership of the country also play a major role. Who is at the helm, and what is the policy strategy of the Ministry of Sports? What are their KPIs? What do they want to achieve? What are the short-term goals? What are the mid-term to long-term goals? These are critical areas as well when it comes to talent development. And when the direction is lacking and leadership is not committed, you can never make inroads.
Right, but let's talk about sustainability as well. I'm glad you spoke about funding, but where there's money, there's also aspects most of the times that have to do with corruption. You spoke about leadership as well. So what is the plan really to ensure that this CAF Schools football project has a good sustainability?
Let me mention that Dr. Patrice Motsepe has always mentioned that this is his baby. And once it is his baby, and he is the one directly pumping money into this project, he will not sit down for any individual or any group of people to ruin this particular project. So it is dear to his heart, and all the member associations have shown commitment. We have done enough in the last 3 years to make sure that this competition comes to stay, so that it doesn't become a 9-day wonder. Federation heads are always on it. There is always a reminder for us to do schools competitions. It is also compulsory for federations to have technical directorates and scouting units within the technical directorate to scout a U16 girls national team and then a U16 boys national team, just to help the sustainability of this project.
Right. My key takeaway from this discussion, Henry, today is that, of course, we know male football is far ahead of women's football, but I'm so happy that you're deepening the strategy for female football talents. That is a kudos to you. And as a woman, I'm so happy about that. But as we wrap up our discussion, now, Isaac, I also won't let you go without us talking about corruption. There's talk of corruption in football and team selection. Ghana, your country, for example, we always laugh at you about this, was at the center of a controversy years ago. Then are countries now like Ghana creating genuine platforms for talents to be nurtured? Of course, we had Henry already said, what, all eyes and ears and hands-on is there, but your opinion as our reporter.
Yeah, I think, yes, a lot has been learned from that particular documentary, investigative piece by Anas that Henry mentioned in his earlier submission. And of course, that you mentioned as a talking point for laughing about Ghana's corruption in football. But I think that we can solve that if we have a pool of talent, okay, where people are talented at the right age, and we don't have to really be scrambling for people to join the national team, so that we need to now be down age and all that. I think that CAF has even gone a long way to try and reduce that with some kind of scanning to make sure that we have the right age people. But I think if this particular project is sustained and we have a pool of talent, young people who are talented, we will not have issues with this age chipping issue. And also, it's important for us to have this done, because once we have a mass and a pool of people, then we'll not be having concerns about people paying before they are called into the team and all that, because we clearly can see that we have abundance for talent. I just hope that, again, football managers across Africa and various federations are able to see that this is important. Sometimes leaders don't see the bigger picture. It's all just about immediate benefits and monetary gain. But if we can see the bigger picture of how this benefits the whole population, the whole country, brings joy to people and solves many problems, we'll try and make sure that we are consistent, we are genuine about this, and not just to be selfish and trying to make gains somewhere monetary.
Henry Asante, Director of Communications for Ghana Football Association, and DW's Isaac Kaledzi, many thanks for joining us. Well, that's it for this sporty edition of Africa Link. Remember, you are not just a listener, but a crucial part of our community, and your engagement can shape the direction of our discussions. We value your insights and encourage you to share your thoughts with us. You can find all of the Africa Link podcast episodes on Spotify and Apple or wherever you listen to your podcasts from. This episode was co-produced and edited by Isaac Mugabi. My name is Josephine Mahachi. Thanks for listening. Until the next one, it's bye for now.
DW